I'm ready. Come on! You know the chronicles, the shit that if mama knew, the stress, the drama do, the text phenomenal, rapid fire, pecs through the abdominal. You bastard liars, me who's the honorable, bathed and clothed up, shaved and close cut, restraint from temptation was drained from both nuts. Now in the physical form, verbalized through the scriptures, I was biblically born as Aya, Jebemiah, conceived through the blunt fire, on Kawasaki's Gorilla up on one tire, well respected, gel connected, got the method for them pretty females, perfected for sure. Very few flaws, heavy Chevy 2 doors, candy painted to give a nigga the blue balls. Pause, this the life I chose, then did the 360, the ciphers closed. Come on.
The format is real sickness, contagious. Here I come, Daisy. There you go.
Still, I don't have to run no game, I've done those things.
Young and gifted, my tongue's prolific. In the beach bungalow is how I bung in Christmas. With a street summer flow from the hungriest district. Switch kicks, crisp when I come to them picnics. Play slow, paper chase stack and lay low. Range Rover, tinted all black, the same old. Psychic mind, righteous rhymes. Then turned a new leaf for my life of crime. No concerns with new beef, who's as nice as I'm. It's confirmed from few feet, I'm still a sniper blind. Built my fame, spilled my pain. Politic and daily still trying to milk the game. It's obvious that I'm real, rap skills remain. I took some change and I'm still the same.
The format is real sickness, contagious. Here I come, Daisy. There you go.
Still, I don't have to run no game, I've done those things.
Learned the system, burned some ism, jotted my Jews down like journalism. How I maneuver now, it emerged through wisdom. A pilgrim, prophesize, putting words to rhythm, relating. I Adam Clayton in manifestation, patient, meditating with the animals waiting, pacing like an inmate that sealed his fate. Let some years escape, but I'm still in shape. I'm chillin', deeply rooted, a beast with music from Bed-Stuy to the east. I'm too at peace to lose it, beloved. I still does it, breathing off a Trump budget, fresh out of Bloomies with the Louis luggage.
The format is real sickness, contagious. Here I come, Daisy. There you go.
How we get down.
The format is real sickness, contagious. Here I come, Daisy. There you go.
How we get down.
Daisy. Here I come, Daisy. Here I come, Daisy. Here I come, there you go.
How we get down.
I come, there you go. Daisy. Here I come.
We Japanese still. You getting cooked in front of your family like a Japanese meal. It's y'all shoot the hibachi and none of you niggas can stop me, but can't help but watch me. Man, today's topic is going to be the skin color of the ancient Levantines. And again, this was inspired, by a racist Facebook group. These guys have an idea of homogeneity and racial purity, which is all false. And they think, oh, well, all these people have to look like X. All these people have to look like Y, whatever. All these people have to be black. All these people have to be white. So we're going to actually go over the Southern Arc paper that we went over last year. In context, dealing with skin color, pigmentation, and what have you. Because you have these people, you have to remind people that these people were a hodgepodge. They've always been a hodgepodge. Why do we expect them to all look the same? I don't have variation. Like it's bananas, man. Be bananas. BANANAS. That's what's going on, man, on the social media around and the cesspool known as Facebook and Clubhouse and these different social media networks. There really is no room for education or room for edification in any of those groups because it's for the bullshit, right? Those platforms have really been a portal for the BS. With that being said, let me see if I can find that comment because the guy, Kofi, right here, and I told him I'll be live here in a minute, and hopefully he'll join. Well, he wants to do it live on Facebook. Oh, I want to do it live on YouTube, man. Anybody gonna see it on Facebook? But anyway, so let me just show the original comment. And there's like millions of comments like this and posts like this in this ongoing war of phenotype wars. And I was just trying to explain to this brother. Let me just share my Facebook tab. This is the Jews versus Hebrew Israelites. Let's debate group. Where it's just basically a damn racist war going on here throughout the whole comments, man. So Kofi posted this. Shout out to Kofi, man. This is no ill will towards you. I just want to edify and build and educate. Maybe we can get people to stop being so damn racist. That's my goal. Especially when we look at history, we try to retrodict our ideas, racial categories, racial essentialism onto people that live 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 years ago. That doesn't make any sense. They didn't have no idea of that, right? It says here, Kofi says he posted in the group 2 hours ago. Literally, sources and archaeological findings trumps over European Renaissance propaganda. Notice how this boy talks about academia but rejects the evident proof, and then he has a Facebook post here. I haven't yet to see this yet, but then he posted aside this famous picture, which was hard as hell for me to source. But it's from a Sennacherib prism, and it has what it looks to be musicians with harps with like dreads and like Africoid features. And I've seen this brought up, for many years. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Google, type in. I think it's the Psalmist, Sennacherib prism. Let's try that. I was asking around the community, has anybody ever had sourced this? And I was able to source it, but it was kind of hard to do it from my recollection. Right? Let me see. Thought there was an image of the psalmist on there. Is what the archaeologists dubbed it. At least what I remember. But anyway, he has a very fuzzy picture. I hate that, man. A very fuzzy picture of what he's trying to show. There are people with long, what looks like braids or twists, or as he tries to say, dreadlocks. And they look very Negroid or Africoid, or and they use people use this as an argument to say, well, see, this proves that they were black. Well, maybe those musicians, or if they are Levites, let's just go with the presupposition that these people are Levites. Then maybe they were, but that doesn't mean every Israelite was. Like again, if you go to Hezekiah's depiction, he looks very Caucasoid, if you will. He looks like a trans-Caucasian in phenotype, the nose shape, so on and so forth. So, of course, I'm not gonna be able to find this because I'm live, right? Let me put Black Psalmist, see what happens. There you go to the images. If I don't find it, I just move on. I hate when people share images like this, man. Look, it's a picture of a book. It's fuzzy. But anyway, you guys should be familiar with this damn source. Right here. Let's just circulate the internet. These individuals here with these braids and what some people will say is Negroid Africoid features. And the book he's quoting said this is an image of the black Hebrew Levite musicians that Sennacherib boasted on his prison time capsule. He took captive back to Assyria. Sennacherib stated that he took the male and female musicians. And he goes to the Bible. And this is like a source material for black Hebrew Israelites to say, oh, this proves they're black. They have braids and whatnot. And there were black phenotypes and African phenotypes in the Middle East. There's literal Africoid skeletons found there. We covered that before. But the other people existed, the other phenotypic expressions existed. So you have to understand that as well. Let me go back. Then he posts this. The terracotta head of a Semite marked Hebrew by Petrie from Memphis, the Gorain Quarter. And this is the image my boy Avery uses as his icon. And that's a depiction of a Semite. So he's posting this to make the argument that black phenotypes were there. But I believe he's trying to say majority. Kofi, I offered you to come on. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times black Hebrew Israelites try to use this some kind of absolutism, uh, and a panacea, and try to say, "Oh, this means everybody." And I tried to explain to him here. This shows that the Hebrew community was diverse, just like many other people groups in the region. Israelites contain black, white, and in between phenotypes. Kofi says, replies, phenotypes do not determine what color somebody is. And Kofi, hopefully you're watching, because I'm not doing this to destroy you. Hopefully you get something from it. Phenotype encompasses skin color, and that's why I responded here. Bruh, phenotype encompasses skin color. And I said, matter of fact, we can go live on YouTube to discuss what phenotype entails. And he was like, on YouTube, we can do it here live in the group. That's what we can do. I don't want to do it live in the group. This is a cesspool, man. He said, oh, why do you have photos of Greg Phillips in your profile? You wouldn't be him hiding under another name, are you? No, I was trolling Greg when I took that picture. Anyway, I'm not Greg. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that the Levantine people and Levantine groups were very diverse in expression. And we're going to show that, right? So, ain't nobody trolling you, bro. I'm actually trying to teach you something. Watch this. So he says phenotype does not encompass, it is not skin color. And I've heard someone else say this. Oh, no, phenotype is the expression of the genes, the physical expression of the genes. So whether that's skin color, nose shape, finger shape, whatever, it's pretty much describing your morphology, your physical features, and your anatomy, right? So let me show you guys what phenotype is.
Phenotype.
The set of observable characteristics of an individual resulting from the interaction of its genotype with the environment.
Phenotype.
That's what a phenotype is. That includes your skin color, your eye shape, your body type, your body shape, your nose, so on and so forth. Those are all physiological properties that we can see, right? And over here on the wiki says in genetics, the phenotype is the set of observable characteristics or traits of an organism. That would include your skin color, Kofi. The term covers the organism's morphology. What is morphology? Shape and form of an organism, right? Its developmental processes, its biochemical and physiological properties, its behavior, and the products of behavior. So that's what the word phenotype is. Here's a great chart here. It says genotype versus phenotype. Let's just show how the genotype would express. It's basically Mendelian, right? How genotypes may express the same outcome or different outcomes depending on gene arrangement, right? That's a Mendelian explanation of that. Here's another one. Phenotypes are the observable and measurable characteristics of a living thing. An individual phenotype is a result of interaction of genes, environmental factors, and random variation. Because I heard the reason why I'm taking my time to break down what phenotype is, because a lot of people want to deal into these deep diving arguments, but don't even know rudimentary stuff, basics, right? And that's not a shot at anybody. It's like you need to know that, right? You need to know that. Of course, the image is not pulling up. Anyway, so Kofi, what I'll do is I'll give you the link directly, right? And Kofi, you know me. We didn't been in lives together on Facebook. You know who I am, brother. So I'll give you the link, and I'll drop the link in the comments. Anybody can come up while I do this. This video won't take me too long to break down, even though my computer's acting up right now. Can y'all still hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can still hear me. Oh, there we go. All right, we're back. Computer kind of had a hiccup there. With that being said, let me give him the link on Facebook. Give me the link. Let me reply no, that's not me, but here's a link. I believe the brothers on the other side of the pond, as we say in England. So I know he's on a different time than I am. So I'll give him a StreamYard right. There we go. So let's get into this. Let's get into this. Remember, he posted this, and that was his argument, trying to exclude other groups. You can't really do that because even in modern times we can see, and in ancient times we can see. So let's go to this paper here. We've been here before, and again I'll put the paper in the chat so you guys will have it. That's reference material. Boom, there you go. And let me put the link in the chat. Anybody can come on and discuss what's being talked about here. I'm going to do a couple videos today, so I won't be too long here. So phenotypes in the Southern Arc in their West Eurasian context. This is from a paper. Let me go up so you guys can see what paper this is from. A genetic probe into the ancient and medieval history of Southern Europe and West Asia. Lazarus et al. This is fairly recent, August 25th, 2022. Remember, we were all waiting to read this paper. And we were excited to read this paper last year when it was released. So let's go down. Phenotypes of the Southern Arc in their West Eurasian context. Our survey of populations of the Southern Arc focuses on ancestry, but it also illuminates other aspects of biology. Superficial phenotypes such as pigmentation were remarked upon by ancient writers. We carried out a survey of predicted pigmentation and other phenotypes of West Eurasian populations across time to discover the extent to which ancient authors' perceptions, based on direct observation or through accounts of faraway peoples, might correspond to the genetic inference of their appearances. We find that the model phenotype of eye, skin, and hair pigmentation in ancient West Eurasians was brown-eyed, of intermediate complexion, and brown-haired, even among Yamnaya steppe pastoralists. So before I continue, let me give you some visual aids to that. Majority of the Middle East look like Ben Baby from ESPN. That's a quick one. There's another comedian. There's a comedian. I can't think of his name right now. He's a great example of this. This is what intermediate skin would be, right? You know, like Yemenis, Arabs, a lot of your Mexicans and Dominicans have that same expression as well of being like intermediate skin and so on and so forth. So to give you guys a visual aid, an idea of what these people look like, they may have looked like Ben Baby, right? Let's go back to the paper. So the paper goes on to say, so that was the common phenotype of the samples that they found, and they sequenced over 700 samples, which is an amazing feat, right? It says here, we find that the model phenotype of eye, skin, and hair pigmentation in ancient West Eurasians was brown-eyed, of intermediate complexion, and brown-haired, even among Yamnaya steppe pastoralists, contradicting stereotypical characterizations of steppe peoples as being blue-eyed, pale skin, and light hair. Note that when we use categorizations such as intermediate of continuous skin tone phenotype, we refer to the scheme adopted by high iris plex -S, which we'll go to that source here in a minute. Let me open that in the tab. In the scheme, intermediate skin tones are commonly found in present-day Mediterranean populations and pale ones and present-day Northern European ones. A general depigmentation trend can be seen across time. So again, these people look like the Mediterranean populations, your brown-ish people, right? Um, so again, like these ideas of of this homogeneity and that everybody was all black or all white. That's why what was written in the meat rash actually comes to be true about neither black or white, or pretty much in between, like boxwood. The genetics is bearing that out. That a lot of people would have looked like that, right? So let me see if I can pull that reference. Prediction, full text article. This is just to give you guys another visual aid if it provides it. Accept all cookies. So hopefully, man, I'm giving y'all some good information. You guys will be able to elucidate this thing, because these groups are just deterministic, and their whole purpose of being on the internet is to, sow the seeds of their ideology, and it's not really about where the evidence leads you. It's all about, reaffirming the racial ideas and stereotypes. That's it. Type it in, intermediate skin, because that article is behind a paywall. I don't feel like doing that right now. So let's see. System for eye color. Here it is here. The H-Iris Plex S system for eye color and skin color prediction of DNA. Where's the image at? Let's do it like this. Let's just open this damn image, because it's giving me a damn headache trying to pull this up for you guys. Open image, new tab. Let's just look at the image. All right, so share this tab instead. So that they have what they consider pale or very pale, and then what they consider just pale, and then what they consider intermediate, which is here, and then going into the dark. So they would have been brownish right here, as you can see. This is what they call intermediate. This is what they're referencing in the paper. The D is the dark to black, right? Which I want y'all to remember that, because when we go on here, we're going to look at the phenotype of the ancient Levantines and show that they were diverse. This is very pale. Then this is pale. B is pale. Then this is intermediate. And then this is dark to black. All right. With that being said, let's go back. Let's go back to this paper here. It says here, note that when we use categorization such as intermediate, the continuous skin tone phenotype, we refer to the scheme adopted by HRIS Plex -S, and that's what I just showed you guys. In that scheme, intermediate skin tones are commonly found in present-day Mediterranean populations and pale ones and present-day North European ones. A general depigmentation trend can be seen across time, with a reduction of black hair and darker skin tones accompanying the increase of brown hair and intermediate skin tones. However, inhabitants of the southern arc had significantly darker pigmentation on average than those of the north, defined as Europe outside of southern arc and the Eurasian steppe over all periods. So there were darker groups there. So which provides support for the identification by ancient writers of light pigmentation phenotypes as being more common in some groups of the north, such as the Celts and Scythians. Among another contrast may be made by made by ancient writers was the people of Africa, such as Egyptians and Ethiopians, who are said to be of darker pigmentation. A comparison of people of the southern arc with their southern neighbors will become possible when genomic data from people living south of the Mediterranean become available. When examining composite pigmentation phenotypes, we observe that although average pigmentation did differentiate between populations of the southern arc and the north, light phenotypes were found in both areas at similar early dates, growing in parallel in more recent millennia of history. So you don't start seeing lighter skin types in these regions until more recent periods, until going towards the historical period. It says light pigmentation in West Eurasia was the result of selection across time, which continued into the historical period, and not of the survival of supposed ancient Indo-European phenotypes, as some 19th and 20th century writers suppose, or the product of direct influence of climate that some Greco-Roman writers hypothesized to explain the patterns they observed during their own time. So this paper goes completely, it pretty much debunks the climatic theory. It says here, the malleability of human phenotypes across time and presence of diverse ones, whether dark, light, or intermediate, across space undermine prejudice, views of history that overemphasize superficial traits at the expense of more meaningful aspects of human culture and biology. And that's what we're showing. That's what we're showing. And trying to teach brothers and sisters on the channel, right? That these people were diverse. And again, it undermines the prejudiced views of history that overemphasize superficial traits at the expense of more meaningful aspects of human culture and biology. And it's how I know these people not really reading these papers, bro. They're not. They're faking the phone. And here, right here, we go straight to the skin chart. As you can see, the deeper you go in time, you don't see pale skin in the Levant or in the Southern Arc. As you can see, pale skin pops up around between 10 and 8,000 years ago, right? And it's very small in frequency. And then going all the way around, all the way down, you see in the modern day, you see a spike of pale skin. So the antecedents of the Jews would not have been, primarily pale skin, as some people have been trying to portray. And it would not have been primarily dark to black skin or intermediate. Dark to black skin. They've been a bulk of them intermediate, and some dark to black skin, and some dark skin individuals. Pale skin was extremely rare. Rudy says, I think it must depend on how long a population is in the climate. Whiter skin and blue eyes and lighter eye probably have more to do with less exposure to sunlight. That's not true, Rudy Heinrich, because again, the Yamnaya steppe pastoralists would have been intermediate, and they live in colder climates. There's plenty of Central Asia that live in colder climates. These Southern Arc people live in colder climates. They live in mountainous regions, and they were dark to black, intermediate. They did not develop pale skin. We don't see pale skin. It just pops up out of nowhere between 10 to 8,000. Let you know it's a random mutation, random occurrence, had nothing to do with climatic factors. Anyway, with that being said, let's go to the supplement. As we can see the chart here, you have a very high frequency of, was it dark to black? Let me see. Yeah, dark to black is the dark one. The lighter brown is dark, and then the tan is intermediate, and then pink is pale. As you can see, about 13,000 years ago, you see dark to black and dark skin types. And, older, you see intermediate and dark skin types. And even still there into present time, as you can see, it goes into the historical period. But ancient times, there was an overrepresentation of those phenotypes. What was I doing? Oh, and that's a good point where you said the ancient. When you look at the Cro-Magnons, they were all dark or dark skinned individuals. They look Africoid and whatnot, and they were in Europe in the Pleistocene for tens of thousands of years. Why didn't they magically turn pale? It does not work the way these 19th and 20th century and ancient Greek writers thought it worked. It does not work that way. Genes are more complex than that. Just standing out. And here's the thing: in colder regions, you're actually exposed to more UV rays than you would be in hotter regions. That's the irony behind it. All right. No, the Yamnaya would have been intermediate. at the onset. All right. So let's go to the supplementary file and actually deal with the subject matter of in the title, skin color of the ancient Levantines. It's a great graph here. It's showing that from the samples that they found in these regions in Levant. They have a 44 sample size, and we can go to skin color here. How many were dark skin? According to the Levant, in the Levant, there were 17 dark skinned people, right? In the samples. Out of the 44, 17 of them were dark skinned. 6 of them were dark to black skin. So anybody trying to say, oh, these people had to been, there were no dark to black skin or dark skin phenotypes there. They were all Ethan Hawke looking. They were all, Europoid, light skin, blue eyes looking. It's not true. It's not true. They look like Tom Hanks. No, that's not true. And 21 of them were intermediate skin tones. Just to give you guys a reminder, this is what they're referencing in this paper. This is dark. D is dark. C is intermediate. This is pale. And this is very pale. They most likely, these samples that they have here in the Levant did not have these pale, at least in this time frame, Middle Bronze Age and so on, did not have those pale skin types. Ezra says, gotcha. Or was it the Kuraxis culture? The oldest SLC 2485 was found in the Satsurvia cave, if I am not mistaken. And that's 13.3 thousand years ago. So it does have something to do with Caucasus hunter-gatherers. I'll give you that. The United himself would have been intermediate for the most part. But as you can see, this is the reference they're using. Let me go back. That's why I said these people look like Ben Baby, Yemenis, Mediterranean populations, Bedouins, and so on and so forth. Let me go back to the paper. As you guys see, again, this is to recapitulate. Out of the 44 samples, 17 of them were dark skin. 6 of them were dark to black skin. 21 of them were intermediate. None of them were pale skin. Right? Iranian is another good sample size right here, 40. Even in Iran, 17 of them were dark skin. 7 of them were dark to black skin. 16 were intermediate. Right? Anatolia is a larger sample size of 81. And you see 15 of them were dark skin. 11 of them were dark to black skin. So you do have dark to black skin types there. You have dark skin types there in Anatolia. And then you also have 55 intermediate, right, which is the lion's share. And it says 0 pale skin. All right, again, you start seeing people with paler skin coming in much later, going towards the historical period, as we saw in the chart. This is all based on ancient DNA. And then the pale skin examples that we do have are from Southeastern Europe. And you see 2 of the samples having that. But even in Southeastern Europe, 19 of those samples were dark skin. 3 of them were dark to black skin. And 90 of them were intermediate. They were intermediate. All right. Here's the Russian Yamnaya cluster at 19 is a sample size. And it says here, 4 of them were dark skin, 2 of them were dark to black skin, and 13 intermediate. That's what the Yamnaya would have looked like, according to the sample size that we have available to us. All right. Let's go down. So these ideas of how we try to view the ancient world and try to use our modern world and try to retrodict that into the past is just wrong. It's just wrong. Let me go up here. Where's the Levant? I mean the Canaan one. Yeah, we dealt with this before, Ezra. I don't know if you were here. We dealt with this before. The thing is, we had those long, drawn out lives, and some things do get buried over time. It is what it is, but we have covered this before. I just wanted to bring it back up because I saw those posts. They're always fighting them over skin color. They're always fighting and saying, "Oh, these people would have been black. These people would have been white." No, the truth is much more complex than that. Here's the Syria Ebla. Two being dark skin. No, wrong one. Three being dark skin, zero dark to black skin, and then three intermediate. Right. That's another interesting to look interesting one to look at. But I'm trying to find the Canaanite one. No, it's here because I was looking at it before the show about this. Let's minimize this a bit so I can see Pakistani, Iranian, Levant, dark hair. Add mixture. I think it was categorized. Let me see. ISR. Israel Ashkelon. Israel Chalcolithic. Israel Canaanite. There it is. Now, let's blow it up. So Israel Canaanite, Israel Chalcolithic, 7 samples from both of them. And then when you look to the far right, 4 of them were dark skin. 1 of them were dark to black skin in the Middle Late Bronze Age, right? And 2 of them were intermediate. None of them were pale skin. Israel Chalcolithic is 1 of them being dark skin, 0 dark to black, and 6 of them being intermediate. All right, that's what they would have looked like during that time period from the studies that we have. Right, that's the data we have. These people were varied, and again, for reference, this is what they're talking about. These people that would have looked intermediate or dark to black skin. That's what's being referenced here. That's what's being referenced here. Anybody can see this link. Again, we don't have any secret swirl scholarship going on here. There's not no deep Masonic stuff going on here. That's the reference point there, right? You don't see the Pella types until later. Not saying, because some people say, "Oh, that proves they're not Jews, they're not Israelites." No, it's just saying their ancestors were darker than they are today. That's all it's saying. The people they directly descend from were darker than they are today, just like the people that descend from the Yanaya are lighter now, but their ancestors were darker in times past. That's all that's saying. You have a hard time grasping that, so I try to beat this thing in you guys' head with a brass hammer. Right? If anybody knows about mechanics, you use brass because brass will not dent metal or cause any burrs or anything like that. So I don't want to damage you. So I'm gonna use a brass hammer to hit in your head with. With that being said, man, I think it was covered well and we dealt with it. I'm going to end this live. Hopefully, someone had some understanding out there. We do know pale types were in the region around because of the Pecking Caves. We do know that, so no one's saying there was absolutely none. But according to the sample sizes, this type right here would have been most common, and dark to black will be more common than pale skin during that time. All right. Hopefully, someone learned something, right? Somebody. With that being said, also you can read this paper with the skin color prediction and how they do it. It's right here. And again, I'm just going to quickly recapitulate what we went over and end the live. You know. So let's go back to here. And let's just look at the Levant again. Let's look at the Levant again. It's hard search Levant. Levant, not Levant. That's a good point there. The African maximized black component found in Levantine individuals as early as the Natufians should thus not be interpreted as evidence of recent African influence in Western Eurasia. That's a great point. I'm glad that popped up because people say, oh, they didn't start getting black or having black phenotypes until the slave trade. No, because we find it as early as the Natufians. So that just destroys that. We're talking 10,000 years ago, not recently. Anyway, we keep going. Right here. So the Levantine groups, they had 44 as a sample size. Majority of them were intermediate at 21, right? 17 of them were dark skin, and 6 of them were dark to black skin, and 0 were pale during those time frames. Chalcolithic, middle Bronze Age, so on and so forth, right? And that's the motherfucking deal. Hey, remember, stay shiesty.
I'm ready. Come on! You know the chronicles, the shit that if mama knew, the stress, the drama do, the text phenomenal, rapid fire, pecs through the abdominal, you bastard liars, me who's the honorable, bathed and clothed up, shaved and close cut, restraint from temptation, was drained from both nuts. Now in the physical form, verbalized through the scriptures, I was biblically born as Aya, Jebemiah, conceived through the blunt fire, on Kawasaki's Willie up on one tire, well respected, gel connected, got the method for them pretty females perfected for sure. Very few flaws, heavy Chevy 2 doors. Candy painted to give a nigga the blue balls. Pause, this the life I chose. Then did the 360, the ciphers closed. Come on.
The format is real sickness, contagious.
Here I come, Jay-Z. There you go.
Still, I don't have to run no game, I've done those things.
Young and gifted, my tongue's prolific. In the beach bungalow is how I bung in Christmas. For the street summer flow from the hungriest district. Switch kicks, crisp when I come to them picnics. Play slow, paper chase stack and lay low. Range road, tinted all black, the same old. Psychic mind, righteous rhymes. Then turned the new leaf on my life of crime. No concerns with new beef, who's as nice as I'm. It's confirmed from few feet, I'm still a sniper blind. Built my fame, spilt my pain. Politic and deli still trying to milk the game. It's obvious that I'm real, rap skills remain. I took some change and I'm still the same.
The format is real sickness, contagious.
Here I come, Jay-Z. There you go.
Still, I don't have to run no game, I've done those things.
Learned the system, burned some ism, jotted my Jews down like journalism. How I maneuver now, it emerged in wisdom. A pilgrim, prophesize, putting words to rhythm, relating. I Adam Clayton in manifestation, patient, meditating with the animals waiting, pacing like an inmate that sealed his fate. Let some years escape, but I'm still in shape. I'm chilling, deeply rooted, a beast with music from best out to the east. I'm too at peace to lose it, beloved. I still does it, breathing off a Trump budget, fresh out of Bloomies with the Louis luggage.
The format is real sickness, contagious.
Here I come, Jay-Z. There you go.
How we get down.
The format is real sickness, contagious.
Here I come, Jay-Z. There you go.
How we get down.
Jay-Z. Here I come, Jay-Z. Here I come, Jay-Z. Here I come, there you go. Here I come.
How we get down.
There you go. Jay-Z. Here I come. Here I come.